Hi, I'm your host, Ahleigh C, reporting for Kids First. Today, we have a very special guest with us today, Shawn Boskie, founder and CEO of Canyon Productions. Canyon Productions is an independent film company that brings stories of hope to life through relatable characters facing challenging circumstances. Their films such as Unlikely Angel, Heaven Sent, and Angelic Christmas can currently be streamed on PureFlix. Additionally, they have exciting projects in the pipeline, including Divine Influencer and Finding Faith. Welcome to the show, Shawn.
Thank you, Ashley. It's great to be with you.
Great to be with you too. So, you've had a long and successful career with the streaming service PureFlix. Can you please tell us a little bit about PureFlix and the role you played in growing their success?
Yeah, I'm happy to. PureFlix came about some years ago when so many Christians were wanting to find a place where they could go and not suffer through all of a sudden get violence or language or just adult situations put in front of them, kind of ambushed. So Christian films where God is in the story and you can see characters wrestling with circumstances that are, familiar to all of us, but find some good uplifting, conclusion to that is a way to point people toward the Lord. So I joined about 10 years ago to help release some of these movies to the theater. God's Not Dead, Case for Christ, Do You Believe, many other movies we've sent out through the theater and DVD and home entertainment. But we also launched a streaming platform where there's place to go for kids, for the entire family, to go and enjoy content that's going to lift them up and encourage them in their faith. So I've loved that. It's what I care about most is how God is, how the gospel is available in our culture. And we're in some tough times right now. So this is a place to find hope and encouragement.
I love that. And one thing that I found super interesting is that you're a former professional baseball player. So you know a thing or two about some curveballs. How has your baseball experience prepared you to navigate challenges and uncertainty in the film industry?
Oh, that's a great question. The answer to that is, I think in general, sports and some of the sports teaches you a lot of lessons about life and about working with other people and about having a boss. Maybe you don't even like your boss sometimes. Sometimes the boss is great. And what it's like to try to perform and produce a good outcome each day. There's a lot of lessons in sports. So I would just say all of my kids were in sports. They didn't have a choice. They had to be in sports growing up, but they loved it. But you can find that same sort of camaraderie in other places, in music and in the arts. But what I love about the work that I do now is it is the arts. That is to say, it's subjective. It can be beautiful. And Christians have produced great art throughout history, but recently movies and shows haven't done as well as we'd like. So,
Mhm.
so we decided we'd try to continue to improve the quality of some of these things. And, when I was playing baseball, you're always trying to get better. That's what you do. And so I've learned a lot of things. I could probably go on all day about all the things I learned from playing baseball. But when I think back on my career, I really think that I'm just grateful to God that He allowed me to do it.
Awesome. And one thing I want to touch on too is I love that response so much because I've noticed that a lot as well. You have some Christian films, and like you said, God is in the word Jesus is not even mentioned. And that's something that I believe a lot of other production companies are trying to say, hey, we want to bring in more other people, and it just takes away from that Christian perspective. So thank you so much for your work.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah. And Canyon Productions has a awesome reputation again for creating films and about that highlight faith and hope. So how do you ensure that the stories you tell resonate again with audiences and effectively convey your message of hope throughout the face of adversity?
Yeah, we try to start with the end in mind, and that means
Hmm.
who is the audience and what is it that they're looking for? These stories are told to entertain people. They're not necessarily, we're not setting out to have a sermon. because
Yeah.
there's sermons available at church and in other places. So we really do want to be entertaining and tell stories that are fun, encouraging, and then again, to the really the hardest part. First of all, it's hard to tell any story that's fun and entertaining and works. It's just a very difficult puzzle to put together. But to have God in a story where he's not necessarily seen, but you see the effects of him at work is an extra challenge. And sometimes we have resorted to bringing angels into these shows, and the angels, of course, look like people. And I did a few of those early on, and then I said, I don't want to do any more of those. I'm tired of this because this isn't real. This isn't what happens to us. Most of us have
Right.
not seen an angel in the form of a person. Because in the Bible, when angels come on the scene, what's their first thing they have to say? Fear not, because
Yeah,
people are
they're pretty
thinking
scary.
everything is
Yeah.
you. So in our case, that ends up being the biggest challenge. But again, it's really rewarding. And the most recent movie, Divine Influencer, I think is a wonderful example of God at work in a young woman's life.
Awesome. Well, I encourage the audience that's watching this now to watch Divine Influence. I haven't watched it yet, but I hope I do. So, speaking of Divine Influence, what can audiences expect from Canyon Productions in terms of that storytelling and the themes explored in your films, again, such as Divine Influence and Finding Faith?
Yeah, I think that the key story that at least I would hold myself accountable to is to say, is God in the story, or is he just an outside, reference point? And
Right.
I'd really like to tell different types of stories where you can see that God is at work. So that's what my goal is. That's what Canyon Productions looks forward to doing. In the meantime, people can go to PureFlix and find all sorts of shows and full-length movies where that's the case. But I'm happy to be a part of that for sure.
Awesome. And in the faith-based film industry, there's often a delicate balance, again, between conveying a message and creating a compelling narrative. How do you approach this balance in your filmmaking experience?
We try our best to think about this with the audience in mind, again, to not be beating them over the head with a particular message, but to try to make it seem authentic. So try to have characters be realistic. And again, when you're reading a script and then an actor comes in and performs that set of lines, there's a lot of room in there for it to be great or to be terrible. This is the magic of movie making. I'm continually astounded by people that work in this arena, because when you're filming a movie, it's actually not very glamorous. It's like a construction zone, and a lot of people are doing a lot of different jobs. And when they say action, then the actors are on, but the lighting and the electrical and all sorts of things have to be right. So it's a really great adventure. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. As we wrap up, what advice or words of wisdom can you offer to aspiring filmmakers who wish to create meaningful and impactful content like Canyon Productions does?
Yeah, I'd say for any young people that would like to explore this field, spend a lot of time doing it. That's the best way to do it. Write stories, maybe pitch your stories to your parents and friends and see which ones work and don't work. What do they like? Start filming with your phone and make little stories. There's some amazing tools nowadays to edit your own movies, and just start doing it and have fun. If you can have fun doing something, then there's a good chance that you may be equipped to do it better in the future.
Well, that's awesome advice. Thank you so much. Well, thank you, Shawn Boskie, for talking with us about Canyon Productions. I'm your host, Ahleigh C, reporting for Kids First. Stay tuned for more interviews and reviews from me and my awesome teammates. Thanks for watching. Bye.